Why, thank you. Okay. Well, welcome. My name is Erica. I'm super excited to get to be with you all. Um, how's your day going so far? Yeah, good. I remember my first, I'm gonna try to have them not staring up my nose and also see you as well. Remember my first day of teacher training? I was so nervous that I got off at the wrong exit on the interstate, and then I was late, but I was like, but I promise it was because I was so excited. Oh boy, alrighty. Well, this is gonna be the last 2 hours of your day is called a posture clinic that we're about to do here. So we're going to, on the schedule, it says integration posture clinic. I'm gonna tell you what that means. We're not going to cover all of the information that there is to be covered in integration. Most of this you're actually going to do on Saturday, so that this afternoon we can kind of go over the big picture of yeah, what's a posture clinic? What does this word integration means? How do we learn this essentially? So, um, did you all have a good practice with Austin? Isn't he just the greatest teacher? Um, he taught you the Cambio sequence. So that is the sequence that you're going to be learning to teach. You're not going to teach it like him. And it's great because we've already got him. Now we get you, and you're going to teach it like you. And, someone actually gave us some artwork to hang up in the office, and it was really cool. She does the acrylic paint pouring. We pour it all down. There's lots of different ways. You can use hair dryers and things like that, like blow torches. Um, she's like, I use the exact same color paints and the same methods for each painting, but they all came out differently. And she was like, it made me think of teacher training because you all get the same information, you all learn how to teach the same poses in the same order, and yet you all walk out of here just with your each little spin on it, and what Austin calls your special sauce, the thing that just makes it unique for you. So we this is why I'm I love all of the parts of teacher training, and also I really like posture clinics because um, they're very hands-on days that I think can be a really big confidence boost. So when I started teacher training, I'll say that I never planned to teach public classes. I had zero interest in it. But learning the sequence throughout the 12 weeks really started to boost my confidence. And I was like, oh, I can speak in front of people without crying. It's a miracle. Um, and by the end, I was just like, oh, I love it so much. And now teaching public classes is my favorite thing. And that may not be how it works out for you. But it's also just a fun, tangible thing that we get to excel at. So this afternoon you will be teaching, I'm sure you've heard, they like to scare you with that first thing in the morning. You're going to be teaching yoga this afternoon. Yeah, you're going to be teaching some child's pose. Maybe we'll get a little bit further than that, but that's usually all that we get to. So if you have your manual, whether it's paper or electronic, pull it open to page 108. Oh, Hannah. Oh, thank you. Here you go. I appreciate it. Thank you. Oh. Hmm. Alrighty, so you all have your electronic manual. Some of you have got it printed. If you don't have it printed, personally, I would recommend printing from page 108 onward. The rest of teacher training, I think, is fairly easy to get by if you're into, technology with an electronic manual. The reason I like to have this printed for myself is because we're going to be doing lots of kind of flipping back and forth pages, and that's just easier with actual paper than when you're trying to scroll. So page 108 is called the posture list with breath cues and transitions. That's a mouthful. I never remember it, so I just call it the pose list. And you'll see it goes on for, several pages. And this is really the Cambio sequence that Austin just taught you. And it's laid out in order of this, we start in child's pose, and then the next pose is tabletop, the next pose is cat. So I'm looking in this middle column here where it says the names of all of the poses. It's broken down into chunks. So first we see integration, and there's like, I don't know, 12-ish poses in there. We've got sun salutation A, but you'll see that's actually broken up into round 1 and then round 2 and 3. So there's a little bit more in there. We've got sun B, and then we just keep going. There's about 7, 8, 9-ish series in here. So today is like a special day where we're really just going to start to introduce you to this. I will start to introduce you to this. But from then on, every Saturday, this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to come in, and you got 4 hours each Saturday that you're here from 9 to 1. And so this coming Saturday, you're going to learn really the rest of integration after child's pose and all of sun salutation A. And then the next week, you're going to learn sun salutation B, and so on and so forth from there. So you're really adding on each Saturday for the next 7 weeks or so. Let's talk about these pages more. So I said in the middle column, we have the name of the pose. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see all of those, except for the very first line, is inhales and exhales. So as you just experienced, right, you're going to say the words inhale and exhale. I've been wanting someone to count. I'm guessing about 200 times during a class, maybe more. And then in the far column, you'll see how long we're holding it. So child's pose, it says that we hold it for 1 to 2 minutes. Underneath that, you see that we hold tabletop for 3 breaths. We've in cat and cow for 1 breath each. And then you start to see that like the breaths aren't listed there. There's sometimes lots of gaps in between where the breaths are listed. You'll see this note at the top here. It says, if the length of the number of breaths is omitted, the posture is intended to be held for a single inhale or exhale only, which actually is the case for cat and cow. It says 1 breath, and Kristen was just being nice to you and added it in there. But like gaze drishti forward a couple lines down, there's no breath with it. So it's just 1 breath in and then the next breath out. So you do the next thing. So this is one resource for you. This is what I think of as like the skeleton or like the bones of the sequence. It is kind of like the bare minimum. Yeah, like if we're walking around as just a skeleton, but we're not, right? Like now we've got muscles and tissue and ligaments. Those are all going to be things like the cues that you're giving during class, the adjustments that you're offering, the modifications that you're offering. Those are what you're actually going to learn when you're here in posture clinics. So today we're going to go through for child's pose and talk about, all right, you can be like, child's pose, Ujjayi breath starts. But like, what if they don't know what to do to get into that shape, right? You have to be like, other words have to come out of this hole in my face and hopes that that means that they do something with their bodies. Teaching yoga is insane. It's crazy ordeal. Like we're communicating with face holes. So that's what you're going to learn when you're in here for posture clinic. So we're going to go through and be like, all right, today let's learn warrior 2. Like, what are the cues that you're going to say to people? What are the adjustments that you're going to give them? What are some other alternatives you can offer if it's not working for them? And then we're going to be like, all right, it's your turn to teach it. We're going to put you in partners or maybe have like a mock class and have you teach in front of everyone. And it's difficult when you've just learned all about warrior 2 and extended side angle and reverse warrior. And then we're like, all right, get up in front of everyone and teach it. You're trying to apply everything that we just taught you a few minutes ago. And also you're trying to remember the order that these poses come in. And so your homework, when you come in for each posture clinic, is going to have the bones of the sequence memorized. So basically the breath that goes with it and the name of the pose and how long it is for the section that you're doing that day. So if this Saturday, you're really going to do Integration Posture Clinic and Sun A, you're going to want to come in with from here, start of integration, down through the end of sun salutation, the order of that memorized. So there's lots of different ways that we can work this depending on your own learning style. So I know that I learned really well by writing. So when I went through teacher training, I was writing this out a time or two and it really started to get in my noggin there. Some people are audio learners, and so you might record into your phone and play it back. If you're a really kinesthetic learner, you might have your manual and get on your mat and be like, okay, so child's pose first, and then inhale tabletop, exhale cat, inhale cow, and kind of feel it out to get it in your body. For those of you who are kinesthetic learners, this can be a really great thing, getting on your mat and feeling it out. However, did Austin do the yoga practice with you this afternoon? No. We here at Cambia, we do not teach from our mat, which is one of the best things I think about how Amber and Austin have constructed this program, and that's not usually a safe or effective teaching method. And so for those of you kinesthetic learners, if you learn it, getting it into your body like this, or maybe you're trying to teach like, okay, Warrior Two comes next. Then when you're like actually in front of a group of people, you're going to be like, inhale, oh yeah, Warrior Two. And then you're like, oh, wait, I'm not doing it. You're like, inhale, chair pose. And you're like trying to like not do it. And then, so it's okay to like have your manual with you, get it a couple of times in your body. And then also you're going to have to draw a hard line with yourself of like, all right, I think I'm starting to get it memorized. Binder is going away. Body is going not away, but you're like, okay, now I'm just going to like stand still and try to say this out loud so that you're not in front of your class and you're like, I don't know how to teach Warrior Two without physically doing it in my body. That can be kind of a dicey hole that we don't want to fall into. So those are a couple of great ways to get started on memorization. What was I just about to say? I was just about to say something really brilliant and it's gone now. So hopefully it comes back. Oh, okay. So I said, if you're going to put your manual away, you're going to stop using your body and you're going to practice saying it out loud. Whatever learning style you use that works for you. My hair is coming all out, isn't it? Oh, cool. Whatever learning style that you go with, you want to eventually practice saying this out loud. It's different neural pathways of having it in your brain versus getting it out of your mouth. And it breaks my heart when people come in and they're like, yeah, I've got this memorized pretty well. And then they stand up in front of everyone and they feel all confident and excited. And then they're like, but they just kind of freeze. And they're like, I know it though. Like, why isn't it coming out of my mouth? And I'm like, well, did you practice saying it out loud? And they were like, no. I'm like, yeah, it's totally different. I had a class a couple of years ago. My music was like on shuffle or something. It was like playing Shavasana music during Sun A. And I was like, that's not the vibe that we want. So I went over and started to mess with my music. Now, for new teachers, I would say don't do that, honestly. Just like turn your music off, don't worry about it. But I had been teaching for about 6 years at this point. So I was like, I'll go and try. And so I'm trying to get my music in order. And I noticed I had my back to the class, not generally a good thing to do, but I've got my back to the class. I'm like going through my playlist and I was able to keep cueing our sun salutation A the entire time without missing a beat. And it's because I had taught it thousands of times at that point, right? And so the more that you get it in your mouth and out of your mouth, the less brain power it's going to take up when you're actually trying to teach. And that frees up your brain to do other wonderful things like focus on what cues you're giving, focus on the adjustments you're giving, handle your music or just distractions. Like there's always a motorcycle that comes through my 7:15 class on Thursday nights. It's a very good time marker. I'm like, it's time for Shavasana. If that guy's coming through and we're not there yet, I'm in trouble. And so there's just like lots of other things going on around in the room that you want your brain to be available for. So that you're not stressing out about, but wait, what pose comes next? So one really, really great way that Amber has taught us to get this out of our mouth is a little game I don't like to call it, Amber called it popcorn. So when we do popcorn, I did not even ask you all your names. Oh my goodness. And we got just a teeny tiny bit of time today, and I want to make sure I don't have to rush through. I'm like, can I make up names for you all? Let me keep going, and if we can take a break later, I do want to get your names and learn a little bit about you. But I'm going to say for now, person A is going to start us off and say, child's pose, and that's when ujjayi breath starts. And then person B is going to say, in this order, inhale, tabletop. Person C is going to say, exhale, cat. Person B is going to say, inhale, cow. And then we're going to keep going around the room in that way. And now usually the teacher, or if one of you ever want to volunteer, will be in the middle doing what you're saying. So I would start in child's pose, and then when Hannah says inhale tabletop, I lift up, and that way you have a body to look at to start connecting the dots. And this is a really great review method for you all to use as a group to start to memorize the sequence and make sure that everyone's getting the idea of it. At first, you're gonna need to use your notes. Like if I were to do this right now, you would need to be like, yeah, what pose comes next? But ideally, like when you come in this coming Saturday, you're gonna have this memorized decently enough. We're not expecting perfection, but like put the effort in so that when it gets to be your turn, you don't have to use your notes. Because if it's your turn, person E, if it's your turn and you're like, oh yeah, the next pose is like, cool, you've shown me that you know how to read, but you're not really connecting any neural pathways or testing out your own memory. So really put in this effort so that you can popcorn together as a group. This means that you get to also practice popcorning by yourself to come in and prepare for this. So let's say the first couple times, we know that I like to write things down. So let's say that I write out integration. Ujjayi breath starts in child's pose, and then inhale tabletop, exhale cat, inhale cow. I write this up a couple of times. I've gotten in my brain. Now I'm going to popcorn by myself. So in popcorn, all that we say is the breath and the name of the pose. So if I'm looking, integration, okay, so I'm gonna say in child's pose is when ujjayi breath starts, and then from there it's inhale tabletop, exhale cat, inhale cow, exhale downward facing dog, inhale gaze forward, exhale forward fold. I didn't get all the way there, but you get the idea. That's popcorning by yourself. And I went at a nice pace that time. Once you start to really be like, yeah, I've got this down, you want to speed up how quickly you're popcorning, because that's going to show you where the little blips in your knowledge are. So this is an hour-long sequence that's written out over the course of these 6 pages. I could probably popcorn the entire hour-long sequence in less than 5 minutes. I'm talking fast. To be like, inhale tabletop, exhale cat, inhale cow, exhale. Oh, okay. So great example. That was genuine. But you would be like, okay, so I messed up when it was exhale downward facing dog. So now we kind of know like that's where my mind still needs to really connect those neural pathways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewind a couple of poses, and it was exhale cat, inhale cow, exhale downward facing dog. And you're going to repeat that a couple times. Inhale cow, exhale downward facing dog. Inhale cow, exhale downward facing dog. Say it out loud several times in a row until your brain really starts to not have to think about it, and then move on. And then maybe you're somewhere in sun A and you have a little blip again where you're saying it fast, pressure's on, and it shows you where you need to put more effort in. And so maybe the next one is, I forgot, inhale, extended mountain. Same deal. I go, okay. Exhale, forward fold, inhale, extended mountain. Now I'm saying this out loud. So you're just kind of going through quicker and quicker and then smoothing out those blips. Questions, comments, concerns? All right. Some other things that might be helpful for you in memorizing the sequence in your classroom. I don't know where Kristen has it, but there are videos. There's 2 videos of folks teaching the Cambio sequence. One of them was filmed like right after COVID, and I don't even know that we were offering assists yet, but we were all like, yeah, let's do adjustments for this teacher training video. And I went first and I gave us adjustments. And then every teacher who taught after me didn't give adjustments, which makes sense because we hadn't done it in like 18 months and we were all like, how does my brain work again? But that video is nice because you get to see a lot of different teachers teaching, and just maybe observe, like I said earlier, like we've all got our special sauce, right? And you get to see those cool, unique aspects of people's teaching. There's another video too where it's just me. And I am giving adjustments, so it's kind of a trade-off, but you could get to use both of those, and use them as much as you want, especially like if you're a kinesthetic learner. Hey, it's basically free yoga. I've had people every morning that they just go in, hit play, and do the Cambio practice, and it's just really like ingrained in their veins by the time that they graduate, right? Some people will mute that video. Maybe on YouTube, you can like adjust the speed. So maybe you make it like just a hair slower. And then you can even start practice out loud. Let's say like, oh, I really want to practice teach today, but none of my cool new friends are available to practice teach with. Cool. I think in one of those videos, I'm teaching this guy named Ricky. He's an amazing musician in town. You could mute my voice, maybe slow down the speed just a tad. And then practicing out loud. And that way on the screen, you get to watch Ricky going through the poses and be like, okay, yep, I see. Oops, I must have missed something up. Whatever, like that. All right. So let's talk about why when we popcorn, we say first inhale and then the name of the pose. So I want you to take out something to write on or with. And leave a little bit of space. And then write the words breath, pose, cue. By and large, this is the order that we are giving information to the students to in class. First, we say the breath. It's literally except for child's pose, which I'll circle back around to. All of them are either going to be an inhale or an exhale. Makes it easy. You have a 50-50 chance of getting it right, right? So it's either an inhale or an exhale. We say that first because we kind of need to breathe, like otherwise people are going to pass out. So we want to just get that out of the way so that they can take their next breath. Next, we say the name of the pose. So let's use tabletop for an example. So when our body is getting bigger, generally it's an inhale, which makes sense because it makes room for the breath to come into our lungs. So if I'm in child's pose here, is my body getting bigger or smaller as I lift up? Bigger, yeah. So this is going to be an inhale, and 99% of the time, that's true with what's in here. So that if you're ever like doubtful of like, ooh, what breath is this? And you're like, it's a coin toss. Think about, okay, is the body getting bigger or is it getting smaller? So we've got inhale, inhale, and then we say the name of the pose, tabletop pose. Most people know what tabletop is. And so that's why we're giving this information second, is because 90% of people are going to hear the word tabletop and they're going to be able to move into that shape and start to get set up there. And then lastly, we say the cues. So the cues are things like, plant your hands underneath your shoulders, spread your fingers out wide, engage your core. They're there to help refine the pose. They're there to help find safety in the pose, engagement in the muscles. Sometimes maybe it's more of, you'll talk about this a lot more on Tuesday night, of like the woo-woo stuff, right? Of like, maybe it has to do something more energetic and mushy. That's not like, hey, your hand goes here, but it's like, feel your heart expanding or connect with the energy around you. That was type of yoga woo-woo thing. I taught this morning, and so now my brain and tongue are just mush. And again, just like major props to Amber and Austin for really solidifying this as the standard that we do breath, pose, and then the cues. I took a class with a world-renowned yoga teacher a couple of years ago, and she drove me crazy. She's an amazing philosophy teacher. She has so much to offer. She's a great teacher. Her asana teaching, the yoga poses, oh, it was rough. She spent, okay, this is what happened. I'm down on my belly, trying to get anyone who watches this in the future to get a good view. All right, I'm down on my belly. We just did baby cobra. And then she says, lower back down to the mat, tuck your toes, lift your kneecaps, engage your core, press into your hands, draw your navel back toward your spine, start to arch, bend into your knees, lift your hips up and back. And I'm like, what is happening? Where are we trying to go? And literally, I'm not even kidding, like 30 seconds of cues later, she's like downward facing dog. And I'm like, that's where we were going? Why didn't you say so? I was not even moving to downward facing dog because my brain, I couldn't even guess like what pose she would kind of get us into. You save a lot of time. Because if 90% of the people in the room know what downward facing dog is, they're gonna move there. And the 5 people who don't know what it is, they're gonna be like, oh, that's what that shape is about, supposed to look like. And so they start to move there. And then you can give your cues and refine it. Vinyasa moves fast. We have to get words out in a quick, concise, snappy manner, say the breath, and then move on. It's a moving meditation of sorts. And so our big goal as your facilitators here is going to be to help you build healthy habits with that early on. So if you practice teaching up here and we hear you saying, tuck your toes, engage your kneecap, exhale, downward facing dog, we're going to be like, great job, you're doing great. Also, let's try that in a different order and let's practice saying that out loud again so that you get it drilled into your head as soon as possible. Breath first, then the name of the pose, and then the cues last. That makes sense. Okay. In teacher training, a lot of times we will be checking in with you like this. Like, that makes sense? And also sometimes we get bored of head nods. So we use a little something called fist to 5. Fist means 0. I have no idea what's going on right now. I feel pretty lost. 5 is like, I feel pretty solid that I can at least go home and apply this information. And then you can be anywhere along the way. So in terms of going home and popcorning by yourself, can I see a fist to 5 where you feel comfort-wise with this? Okay, our 3 and 4 friends, things I can clear up.
The one question I have is, next Saturday, you said that you were wanting us to practice and doing stuff at home, like popcorning and stuff. How far into the sequence?
Oh yeah, so for this next Saturday, you will want to have integration and Sun-A under your belt. Yeah, good question. Generally from there on, it's just 1 a week. There is one, like core and crescent are scrunched together since they're both kind of shorter, but if you also look in your schedule, you can see it's like labeled, next Saturday, Sun B posture clinic. And then that's your cue of like, all right, now I need to have up through Sun B taken care of. Yeah, great. Awesome, great. Was there 4 over here?
Yeah, but I think just I have to figure out like for myself how to do it, not
Okay.
necessarily anything.
All right, sounds good. Let me know. Let me know if you need anything. So we've got several different posture clinic teachers that you're going to get to work with throughout your training. And we do that on purpose so that you don't walk out of here like a cookie cutter version of me or Amber or Austin. And so I don't remember who you're going to get to be with this Saturday. But usually each week you kind of get to be with someone new. And then you'll start to see us repeatedly down the road after that. So you can always, of course, work with the posture clinic teacher that you're with today. Make sure that, you know, you ask them any questions that you have about how any of this works. I'm like technically like the posture clinic lead, which really just means that I have all those teachers fill out a spreadsheet and let me know how you're doing. But sometimes we collaborate and I might give them ideas of like, oh, it sounds like they're ready for this type of learning review this week and things like that. But that being said, if you ever want to reach out to me, I love this stuff so much. And I would hate for any of you to struggle or feel confused. So you can reach out to your mentor, of course. I'm just like another person that if it feels good to reach out specifically for sequence stuff, you can do that. Yeah. All right, let's do some introductions. And now I'll just also finish up the other end of mine, which is that, yeah, I'm the posture clinic lead for you all. And then I'm kind of Kristen's counterpart. So she's the coordinator for you all. I coordinate the extended teacher training. And so we just kind of work together in tandem to make sure all of the teacher training needs get met. And so let's go around the room, introduce yourself. You can say your name, your pronouns if you like, and then let me know what was like a hobby or a sport or something that you did when you were young that you don't think we're ever going to get to learn about. Okay, like I was super into color guard, not like Roxy color guard, but like marching band color guard with flags and sabers and dancing on football fields. I did that for like 7 years. And you know what? No one ever gets to hear about it, and it's sad. So tell us a thing about you from your life. You're like, you're probably never going to find this out, but I want people to know about it. Let's see. Person A, can we start with you so I can stop calling you Person A?
My name is Eva. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
You, she, her pronouns. And when I was younger, I was like really big music kid. Like I was in like band, orchestra, and choir.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
Cool. Did you do marching band?
I did marching band for a year.
Okay.
I did it for my senior year of high school.
Oh.
I was primarily an orchestra and choir kid, but my music theory preferred teacher was the director of marching band. And it's like, if you want to be in marching band, which like said no one ever, but
Oh, no, I love it. What instrument in marching band?
I played the bells.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, cool.
It was
Yay.
like the lowest barrier to entry. So
Oh, that's great. I love that you've got the marching band experience.
it was
Eva.
great. It was super fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Eva. Alrighty.
I'm Hannah. We already met earlier, but nice to meet you
Thank
today.
you.
And then I'm a choir girl too. I was in show choir, so singing and dancing, all that jazz. Best 4 years of my life, honestly. Haven't topped it yet, which is crazy. I'm 32, so yeah, that's me.
I was just looking into choirs around here to get involved in because I'm like, I miss it.
If you find one, I
Aw.
want to go too.
Thanks, Hannah. Eva, Hannah. All right.
I'm Carly Sheeher. I played basketball for a while in my life. That was basically my identity for many, many years. So
Okay.
it's not been for like 14
Oh.
years now. So
Okay, Eva, Hannah, Carly. Hannah, Carly. Okay, got it.
Hi, my name is Renata. My only hobby when I was a child was to paint and draw and just do art and play video games. I still do all of that now.
Good.
And I'm also like a tattoo artist. So yeah, I'm just like living the dream, you know, of doing like what I love.
Oh.
But it's really great.
So so you're leaving tattooing?
Oh no, I am a tattoo artist.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Yay. I'm sorry, say your name again?
Renata.
Renata.
Yeah.
Okay. Renata, Carly, Hannah, Eva. I didn't bring my paper to write things down, and so now I'm just relying on my mouth. Renata, awesome. Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Beck. I forgot what I was supposed to say. My pronouns are she, her. I did like all the sports when I was a kid, but I liked music the most. So, I played guitar as a hobby. Not many people know.
So fun.
Yeah, I'm just now getting back into it and like learning stuff I want to learn. So it's been.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
I'm Jordan.
Hi, Jordan.
Kind of like Carly said, not basketball, but I played football for most of my life. I played 16 years. It was my identity. Like it was pretty much from 5th grade all the way through college and beyond. And that's actually what got me to yoga. My body got so beat down after a while. And my chiropractor told me a little bit about yoga and it started going from there.
Oh, good job, chiropractor.
Right.
Cool. Jordan, it's good to see you again. All right, Jordan, Beck, Renata, Carly, and Eva. Okay, awesome.
Also Hannah.
Hannah.
Yeah, you can call me Hannah Marie. Sorry, if that helps.
Hannah Marie.
Yeah, everyone, if that helps, so we're not confused.
Okay. Hannah and Hannah Marie. All right.
Yeah, I'm Hannah. I use she, her pronouns. I also play basketball. I actually coach 6th grade girls basketball. It was so fun. And then I was a competitive swimmer.
Ooh. Thanks, Hannah.
My name's Megan. In high school, I guess growing up, since I was like 6, I raced horses, went PCRA for rodeo and all that stuff. And then they had like a rodeo out here in Colorado, like up in Breck, so I worked for that. So that was my identity.
Oh,
What's your say raced or raced?
Raced. Yeah, like barrel racing, stuff like that. Yeah. So if you ever like see on TV like the bull riding competitions and stuff, like it's all under that one umbrella, like horse racing.
that's so cool. Megan.
Yeah.
Megan, Hannah. You both have blue eyes. Megan and Hannah. All right. Next time you'll have to sit in the exact same order for me. All right.
Pero she, her pronouns, and I used to do mosaics. Like I would break tiles and do little arts and have them use that too.
Oh, that's so cool. Awesome. Viddle, you said with a V?
Yeah, VERO from Verona, short for Verona.
Oh, Vito. Okay, wonderful. Cool. Thank you for spelling it. Vito. Hannah. No, Megan. Hannah. This has to be my God decently. Alrighty.
I'm Kelly. She, her pronouns. I used to be a cheerleader and gymnast, so I love glitter and all the fun things. Yeah, that was really fun. I've done like every sport. Just before this, I was doing aerial silk acrobatics, which I have a lot of passion around, but I'm taking a break for the yoga teacher training, but that's like something I really enjoy doing also.
Great. Cool. Oh, shoot. I already forgot your name.
Kelly.
Kelly. Okay, thank you. Kelly. All right.
I'm Katie. You guys are so cool. You guys all have like the dopest stuff. I just grew and I like to swim, but nothing competitive or, and that was it.
Awesome. Very much like Renata, you did art.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah, I love doing art.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Katie, Kelly, Vito,
Little.
with an O at the end. Okay. Vito, Megan, Hannah, Jordan, Beck, Renata, Carly, Hannah Marie, Eva. What is it? I'm like, I've forgotten my name now. All right, I'm gonna keep trying. I've named. Okay, so here's the deal: when you're teaching yoga, like it makes people feel so good when you remember their names. When I started, I really sucked at people's names, and now I'm like the trick for me. Well, usually I write them down, and that helps a lot. Sometimes I write like person in the red shirt. But then it's like, all right, say them out loud as often as you can to just kind of get it. So if that's helpful for you all as you're all learning your names, it's a good skill to develop. There are people that are like, remember my name? Like they feel like so special and seen. It's always great. All righty. Let's move on. So this is one resource for you, right? Along with the videos in the classroom. to start to memorize the sequence. This is your homework to come in prepared for your next posture clinics, to have the bones of the sequence, if you will, memorized. Your other resources, let's turn forward a couple of pages until you see child's pose. I want to say it's like 112-ish, if anyone can confirm. 114. Thank you, Eva. My pages are a little outdated. They don't look exactly, the pictures are different. But these are pose pages. We've got these for every pose in the sequence. So you'll see at the top, it's got the name in English and Sanskrit. You are not required to memorize the Sanskrit. It's there if you like it, if it's fun for you. Personally, I would recommend just worry about the English right now, memorize everything else. And then like, as time goes on, if you're like, you hear a Sanskrit word enough, like who knows the Sanskrit for chair pose? Utkatasana. Yeah, it's like, it's a pretty popular one that we say a lot. I don't really know why. But it's like, you start to hear them more and more and you're like, oh yeah, that's what that means. You'll see a picture. You're gonna hear a lot that like, we don't really care the end result of the shape that students get into. We care about healthy and safe alignment. So there's lots of different versions that these shapes can look like. These pictures are a general broad example. Let's skip this box. This box only pertains to child's pose since this is our very first one. And let's go down underneath this. You're going to see the list of cues. You're going to see the adjustments and the modifications. So let's start with the bottom. The modifications are different options. So this one says, blanket over or under ankles and a forehead on a block. So we give these to you. Sometimes they are possible and important to offer during class. I had a student this morning, I put them into child's pose and their range of motion in their shoulders could only move to about here. And so I called child's pose, and this person is just like this. And if we look back to page 108, it says that we're there for, I think, about a minute, maybe two. Do you think that this is comfortable for child's pose for 2 minutes? No. So something you could do for that person is be like, oh, if your head doesn't reach the floor, maybe you slide a block underneath your forehead. It doesn't change how far down they're reaching, but child's pose is meant to be like a outside world, hello, yoga practice pose. It's very introverted. My face is on the ground, so I'm not really getting a lot of visual input. My arms are next to my ears. I mean, I can obviously still hear, but like energetically, it's almost symbolizing this like very introverted, like none of the external stimulus matters. What matters is in here. And so even if the props aren't physically moving their body anymore into the shape, it's helping provide still that grounding experience for them. A reason why you might put a blanket over under the ankles, just like, we have different range of motions in our shoulders. So like my shoulders come way back, this person's, we're out here. Let's all take your feet out in front of you and everyone point your toes. And just kind of look around the room and notice how much people's toes point. Some are going to point more than others. Now everyone pull your toes backward and flex it. Yeah, same deal, right? So people who can really point their toes super far probably aren't going to be able to pull them as back super far because their range of motion is extending in that direction. On the opposite side of the spectrum, Kristen Mack, like her toes can pull like way, way, way back. But she can't point her toes as far. So let's say, so this is called range of motion. You're going to talk about it a lot in anatomy. Let's say that you have someone like that in class that like their toes, if this is as much as they could point them, like there's not a straight line from their shin all the way to their toes. So if they're trying to get into child's pose and their ankles don't touch the floor and then you're sitting your hips back on, that's not going to be comfortable either, right? So maybe you roll up a blanket and they can slide it underneath their ankles. Similarly, if they've got knee stuff going on and they don't have the range of motion in their knees to sink all the way back, but they've got everything else, so they're like this, but their hips are up in the air for 2 minutes. Again, not a super grounding, yummy yoga experience. Maybe we can slide a blanket in that knee crease back there and provide a little bit of that grounding sensation. So modifications are sometimes things that you can offer during a yoga class. Also, sometimes it's like, you know, a lot of these you're probably not going to offer, at least not every class. It might just be like, you know, you see something and you're like, ooh, that person could use this modification. Maybe it's for the person who comes up afterward to you and says, hey, this pose kind of hurts my knees. Like, do you have any suggestions? And you're like, oh, I do. Or for your neighbor who's like, I heard you're doing yoga teacher training. My neck hurts. What do I do? And you're like, actually, I kind of know something because of these modifications. So just stuff that you're not always saying, but it's nice extra knowledge to have. And then we've got adjustments. So for adjustments, you're gonna learn lots of adjustments as you go throughout posture clinics. You're also going to have a class or two specifically on like giving adjustments and just learning more, but it's honestly down the road a bit. So let's go over some tenets of good adjustments now. So if I'm walking around on the floor, let's say this is my one and only student today. Actually, no, let's say that they have some imaginary friends. But if I'm walking around adjusting a student and maybe I'm gonna adjust them in child's pose. Oh, I'm wearing socks and my feet are slipping. So first tenet of adjusting, take off your socks. Or you can get like socks with the grippy things on the bottom, right? But yeah, assuming that you're teaching on hardwood, these things, it's gonna make it unsafe in your body. And then it also puts your students at risk too. So if my student had been here right now, I would have fallen on them, right? And that's probably not what they were looking for when they came in today. Other things that we can do to keep our body healthy and safe when we adjust. I'll turn this way. Get a better camera angle here. Let's say that my student is down here in child's pose. Do you think that I look more comfortable trying to adjust them like this or like this? This one, yeah, so my feet are out wide. I'm bending my knees a lot so that I'm using the weight of my body to apply the weight. I'm a pretty light, weak person. I don't have a lot of strength. But I have learned over the years how to use my body weight to give good adjustments that people actually feel. So reasons why we might adjust. There are some like safety ones that we see like, ooh, that person looks like they may hurt their knee. That's going to be like a priority. Head over to that person and be like, oh, can you move your foot here for me? Something like that. Some of these adjustments are to help with alignment. So maybe someone's knee in Warrior 2 is really knocking inward and you can help draw it back out. And it's maybe not like, they're probably not going to hurt themselves like that day, but if they keep doing that over and over and over again, as we do in yoga, it's probably going to wear on it over time. Some adjustments, I'm only going to say this once because I don't like this language, is to deepen their pose. The reason I don't like that language is because it puts, it's almost like a hierarchy of like more is better. More is not always better. Actually, in our society, I think that in yoga, sometimes when we can aim for less, that's actually more powerful. The very first yoga class I ever took was an 1.5 hour long restorative workshop, which basically means that I laid on the floor for 90 minutes. And I was like, wow, I'm really good at yoga. So obviously the next class I should go to is a power class, a heated power class, right? So I go to Austin's Wednesday morning at the time was a power class, and I show up and I'm in extended side angle and I am like sweat's dripping off of me. I'm literally just like panting. And he comes over to me and he's like, hey, you know, you're allowed to take a break, right? And I was like, wow, I must have really been struggling for him to say that to me. But I just remember being an extended side angle and like panting and being like, I'm fine. I don't need a break. I really needed a break. But it took me months of coming back and honestly doing teacher training to learn how to take a break and to be like, hey, 20 other people in this room are in extended side angle and I'm in child pose and I feel incredibly vulnerable and insecure because of that. But learning to basically say no in my yoga practice and be like, I can't breathe right now, I'm gonna rest, has taught me that like when I go out into the rest of the world, it's also okay for me to say no and like draw my own boundaries. So some of these like probably some guess. Right. And so just, yeah, more is not always better. And that's why I don't like that language of like, these adjustments are to deepen your pose. Instead, I spin it as they're there to offer a different sensation. Maybe you like the sensation of, you know, maybe an extended side angle. Yeah, I did get an adjustment from Austin in extended side angle in a different class many years ago that did take me deeper into it, but it also really informed how I do extended side angle. And then honestly, I've done it that way ever since. Like it stuck with me more than just that 30 seconds. And then some adjustments are more there for comfort or almost like an energetic exchange. So maybe it's a shoulder roll, a shoulder rub to someone when you're in mountain pose. Maybe it's in Shavasana and you give them a little head massage or something like that. This is one of the very few places, and we discovered this a lot during COVID, after COVID too, where we don't get touch in our society that is not either sexualized or violent. And so for it to come in and it just be like a neutral experience from a lot of times someone that you don't know very well means a lot to people. We heard a lot of people during COVID say, this is the only time a week that I receive any touch. And we're supposed to receive, I think, like 7 hugs a day that are like 30 seconds long. But like we're supposed to be receiving a lot of touch that a lot of us aren't getting. And so this is an area for it to come and be neutral and safe. And I'll talk to you in a minute about how they can opt out. Some people are like, I don't want to be touched by you for whatever reason. And maybe it's, I don't know you and I don't trust you. Maybe it's, I have a sunburn right now and I don't want anyone touching me. It could be any myriad of reasons. So we will absolutely talk about consent and having people opt into that. Some other things with adjustments. So we talked about like having your own body physically safe and stable. So usually feet out wide. Another thing to think about is midline to midline. I'm just crouching down because I feel weird that the camera people aren't seeing my face at all. So let's say that my student in child's pose is right in front of me right here. Their head's over there and their hips are back here. I'm going to align the midline, the middle of their body, along with the middle of my body, and I would adjust from there. If I were to stand off to the side, they're going to receive more pressure on the side that I'm standing on. And so when we go midline to midline, it keeps the weight evenly distributed. So we've got my socks off. I've got a nice wide stance, probably a bend in my knees. Midline to midline most of the time. We'll certainly let you know the couple where you break that rule. Other things to think about involve what's on your body. I had like those really like loose like harem pants. You know what I'm talking? Like the crotch comes down to like here. I wore them to teach a couple months ago, and boy, that was a mistake because the whole time I'm like adjusting people, and my pants are like brushing over people's skin, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, that's not part of what's supposed to be happening right now. Similarly, like jewelry. I don't think Amber would mind me sharing. She was in downward facing dog one time. So like her hips, let's say, were right here. The teacher comes up behind her. They have a giant pendant necklace on. They like step into her space and their necklace like swoops and hits her in the crotch. Similarly, like, are you going to give someone a head massage in Shavasana? Like, is their hair at risk of getting caught in jewelry? Things like that. So also important to have good hygiene, right? Wash your hands before class. Excuse me, sir, it's not Thursday night. Do you have anything strong smelling on? Things like that. Something else to consider with adjustments. Who's heard this noise before? Yeah, okay. So I have a friend who has practiced yoga all over the world. She never gets adjustments from anyone because they always startle her. And that's not really conducive to what we're trying to get to mentally in a yoga practice. She came to Cambio and she heard us doing this all the time, and she started allowing herself to receive adjustments because she was like, oh, you're giving me a heads up. So this can certainly be, it can be to warm your hands. Some people say that it is to clear the, like kind of energetically clear out like old energy so that you're placing fresh, neutral energy on people's bodies. But most importantly, it is to signal to them like, hey, I'm coming for you. So let's say that I were going to adjust Megan. Megan, all right. I can walk over to Megan and I'm gonna rub my hands. And there's two ways that I can do this. I'm adjusting Megan. Or I walk over to Megan. Now I rub my hands together and I adjust Megan. The first time, all of these lovely people, Katie, Kelly, yeah, thought that they were getting adjustments, right? Because I was like walking by them while rubbing my hands. I was like, get where you're going, rub your hands together, place your hands on them. All right. Now let's, I know I'm working backwards here. Let's talk about our cues. So you'll see on this pose, there is a list of cues. There's, oh gosh, about 6 or 7 of them. Big toes together, knees wide, hips to heels. Let's talk about these first. Let's not talk about any quite yet. You'll see these are very straightforward in terms of we're trying to get the body into a shape. We're saying like, hey, your toes go here, your knees go here, your hips goes here. Notice that this language is not flowery. It's like very bare bones. It's very direct and concise. Like I said earlier, you have to get a lot of words out of your mouth in a very short amount of time in a vinyasa class. And so we want to be very concise and omit filler words. Filler words are going to be things like, and now let's blah, blah, blah. Or, next we're gonna is a big one. First off, we aren't gonna do anything. You're gonna do things. I'm not doing it with you. Is one of my filler words. And now that I've said it out loud, I'm gonna struggle to not say it more. Filler words are like playing whack-a-mole. You'll come in, you'll be practice teaching, and we'll be like doing a great job. Do you know what your filler words are? They are X, Y, and Z. And we'll tell you, and you'll go home and you'll try to stop saying X, Y, and Z. And then next week, you're going to come in with a different set of filler words. It is just, and over the years, hopefully you just have less moles popping their head up and omit as many as you can. But we're really using command language here. It's weird for us in our society to be like, hey, you, big toes together, knees out wide. Like we don't just boss people around. But at the very beginning of class, you're gonna say, hey, if something doesn't feel right in here, skip it, modify it, fine with me. You do what you need to do for you. So by saying that, it's like this blanket permission that for the next hour, I'm going to be direct and tell you what to do. People are literally paying you money to tell them what to do with their body. So you don't want to be starting your sentences with, if it feels okay, lift your right leg. And I was just kind of thinking that maybe next you could step into a low lunge. And then from there, just an option, but like you could do warrior 2 if you wanted to, right? We could teach class that way. It would take, it would take a very long time. And you would be so tongue-tied by the end of it that you would probably be crying. So we're going to use that command language. So we're going to instruct you to memorize these cues as they're written because they are very clear and concise by default. Now, of course, by the way, there's also like thousands of other really great cues that you could give. A lot of times we get questions of like, hey, Erica, I've heard this cue before. Is that okay? And I'll say, yeah, that's a great cue. But right now, stick with what's in the manual because we want to get good at this one thing. And then down the road, it's going to be super easy for you to start to put it into your own words. The last thing to know about these cues is that they're moving from the ground up. So let's say that I'm putting someone into Warrior 2. If I were to injure myself or put wear and tear on my joints, do you think that that's happening in the lower half of my body or the upper half of my body? Lower half, yeah, because that's where my weight is. Okay, opposite end of the spectrum. If I'm going into crow pose, are you going to be more concerned about the weight that's in my hands or me hurting my feet? My hands, because that's the ground up. Usually it's our feet, but sometimes it absolutely is our hands. Or I guess it could be your head, and probably not in any of these poses. But looking at what's on the ground first, we want to prioritize that as a safety precaution. And because it helps build from the ground up. So to really highlight my point, if I'm teaching Warrior 2 and their feet are all funky and their knees caving in, I'm going to care a lot more about this than if they have floppy hands. If they have floppy hands, this would be nice too, but it's not, a really high priority thing. This definitely is. But let's even say you had time for both and you were like, okay, now send energy out of your fingertips and let your back hip drop forward and point your front toes toward the front, your back heel out away from you. I don't really know what it is in the brain, but like by the time I ended up fixing all of this was gone anyway. When we build from the ground up, it's just like you're building a house. You want to start with a strong foundation and everything from there is going to fall into place a lot more easily energetically. Alrighty, so these cues that we all have listed here are called alignment cues. Usually we just call them cues. The reason for the differentiation is you don't have to, but if you flip a few pages forward to downward facing dog, you'll see a whole list of cues, but then you're also going to see transitional cues. So the pose that comes before downward facing dog is tabletop. So if I'm in tabletop and I said, exhale, downward facing dog, create an inverted V shape, heels pressed toward the earth, fingers spread wide. Actually, let me turn to the side for you. So I was in tabletop, exhale, downward facing dog. Can anyone tell me what's interesting about the shape that I've made? Does it look off to you a little bit? Yeah, my hands and feet are way too close together. I want them out about here. So our transitional cue is to help set us up for success for moving into the pose. So from tabletop, our transitional cue would be move hands, one hand print forward, tuck toes under, exhale, downward facing dog. And now I'm set up for a much better shape to even move into the pose. So I said earlier, breath pose cue is true most of the time. Every once in a while, you'll see in your manual that you have a transitional cue. And so I want you to write in parentheses before breath pose cue, transitional. They're not there for every pose. It's just if there is some listed, it's going to come before the breath to help them get set up in that shape. So again, our example from tabletop pose was move your hands, one hand print forward, exhale, downward facing dog. Create an inverted V shape with your body, heels reach toward the ground, so on and so forth. What questions do you have? Awesome. Way to go. You're doing great. We got less than 40 minutes and you're going to be out of here today. I know this is a lot that we've thrown at you at the end of the day here, but it's the fun stuff. All right. We've gone over the two main types of cues. Let's finish learning child's pose. Let's start with the Sanskrit. So the English is called child's pose. The Sanskrit, if you want to repeat after me, Balasana. Balasana, great. When you see, you're going to have a whole class on Sanskrit next week. But when you see that line over the A, you like hold it longer. Balasana. Balasana. You'll see the word asana at the end of every single one of these poses. Technically it translates to seat, but really it's like pose. So it's child's pose, downward facing dog pose, forward fold pose. All right, so our cues. We're starting with the foundations, right? Even though the whole pose is on the ground, we're still kind of working from the ground up. So starting with big toes together, and then your knees come out wide, hips toward heels. This gets the lower part of the body into shape so that now we can add on forehead to mat, arms reach forward, fingers spread wide. Now this is a lot of cues. In this instance, at the beginning of class, you do have time to get through all of these cues. Some of the pages in your manual, though, you're gonna have like 8 cues. We're not expecting you to say all of them all the time. We're teaching them to you now. So like in the next couple weeks, as you start practice teaching, you're going to be up here and you're just praying that any words come out of your mouth. It really doesn't matter what cues you say. You're just going to be like, knees wide, fingers spread wide. Am I done? Did I do it? And that's great. Once you get some practice time under your belt and you're teaching real people, it's like this light bulb goes off and you're like, oh, look at that person's knee and ooh, their elbow. Oh, and look at their fingers. And then you could be like, oh yeah, I want to clean these things up. And now you're like, oh, I know cues for them. And it's just going to be this like, oh, now that I can see it and I'm not so worried about what comes next and what words I'm trying to say, you're going to be like, oh, I know the cues that I could offer because I've memorized them. So just know that you're not necessarily going to give these all the time, but it's so that you have options so that when you see something, you can do something about it. Again, working with that ground up, right? We got the lower half of the body settled. Then we got settled with the forehead toward the mat and reach arms forward. The spread fingers wide here is definitely a good example of like, that's nice to say if you can. But having, your hands cupped here versus fingers wide, it definitely does change the pose, energetically speaking, but it's low priority. All right. Okay. No, I'll say that. Who wants to come up here on my kind of dusty mat? I don't know where all of this came from. And receive some adjustments from it. Awesome. Hey,
Yeah.
Kelly. Zucchini's right next to each other. All right. Can someone please read out loud the first adjustment? Press hips downward. Awesome. And you can stay seated for just a second if you want. If you feel that behind you on your sacrum, do you have these two little bony things sticking out? They are called your PSIS. I don't know what that stands for. You don't feel those on yourself? Okay. That's where I'm going to be searching for on Katie. Now, I'm not going to go around and be like, where are your PSIS? But like generally speaking, now that you've felt them on yourself, it'll be easier to feel them on other people. Yoga pants are nice for this reason. People who were assigned female at birth tend to have shorter sacrums. People who were assigned male at birth tend to have longer sacrums, and so you might be reaching up higher on those people. I'll step behind Katie, and I'm gonna like make this like little butterfly shape with my hands, right? Like these are the wings. My hands aren't gonna be together, but I'm gonna find that shape. One hand on each of the PSIS. And as the adjustment said, I'm gonna press downward. Now, a lot of our adjustments have two directions of energy to them. So I am gonna press downward, and I'm showing you so you can see, since you won't be able to see in a second. I'm gonna have my feet wide and bend in my knees. I'll aim for the PSIS. And then I'm gonna press down and pull back just a little bit, and that's gonna provide a little bit of lengthening and tractioning of the spine. It's just kind of, this one is not really for fixing anything. This is more one of those like changing the sensation of the pose, because it's a hard sensation to get when someone's not adjusting. Well, who read that for me? Awesome. Yeah. We'll go down this way. Jordan, will you please read me the next adjustment?
Next adjustment is massage neck and shoulders.
Massage neck and shoulders. Thank you. So you have options. I could stay with Katie for just this one. And notice that like I'm gonna straighten my knees to start to leave her space. I'm not going to press off of her to get myself up. Someone did that for me recently, and I was like, I could stay right there and then leave, or I could do this first one, and then I could take a hand up her neck and do a little shoulder rub here. All right, you ready to feel it out? Okay. I'll let you come into your child's pose. So knees wide, big toes touch behind you. Hands and forehead reach out onto the ground in front of you. All right, so I'm stepping behind her midline to midline. My feet are wide. She knows I'm coming. I've got a bend in my knees, and I'm going to press. I've got my butterfly hands down and backward a little bit. And I'm going to, a lot of times we put our hand on the sacrum here to ground it in place. Since her shirt is about halfway up, I'm going to take this other hand and ground it on her shirt here so I don't pull it with me. And I'm going to come, let's see if I'll go over your hood here. Slide my hand up. Neck thing here. And this one we're here for some time, right? So I can really take my time and get juicy with it. I'm kind of using like a claw hand to really get in there. I could have gone over her hood or under it. It was just kind of a judgment call in the moment. Now I'm going to slowly start to exit her space and then stand up and scoot away. Awesome. Yes, Beth.
So putting the hand on the shirt, that's so that you weren't pulling the shirt, or are you not trying to put your skin on someone's skin?
Oh, good question. It was to hold her shirt in place. Although sometimes when my hands are freezing, I'm like, maybe I'll save you tank top person for just a second from now and adjust the t-shirt person where my icy hands aren't gonna. And also sometimes I'm just like, I'm sorry, my hands are so cold. You gotta do it anyway. And a lot of times people are like, it feels nice. Usually though, in that one, you do want to ground your hand on the sacrum, and then my other hand slid up the spine so that it's not like a hi, or like a little surprise. You know, it's like I'm telling you where I'm going. And it doesn't have to be like, you're not dragging it out. It's just like a skating across the skin. I did opt to put my hand on the bottom of her shirt there just because that is one that the shirt can pull up, and so you want to not do that. The other thing I could have done was ask Katie, more or less pressure. So if I say, is that pressure good for you? What are you gonna say? Yeah, whether it is or not, right? That's the answer that we're gonna give by default as a society. So this is kind of forcing you to say either like, yes, more or less. A lot of times the answer is still, it's fine how it is. And maybe they are crying inside, I don't know, but it at least gets them a step closer toward being honest about it. Okay, I think you're good, thank you. Yeah. All righty. Good, you've learned your first pose. What questions do you have about child's pose? Balasana.
I can.
Yeah.
How do you
decide who to adjust in child's pose?
Great question. Okay, so other tenets of adjusting. You want to, by and large, adjust everyone who opts into adjustments. So I find someone who already looks like they're quasi comfortable in this one. If they look uncomfortable, I might come up and be like, hey, do you want a prop and help them get situated? But if they look comfortable already, I'll come up, I'll adjust them. In child's pose, you might have time to adjust two or let's stick with two people right now. Austin is someone who like I watch him adjust and I'm like, what is happening? Because he's like adjusting someone here, then someone there, then someone back there and back here. And somehow his beautiful mind just makes it so that he gets to everyone by the end of class. That is not how my brain works. I would cry. So I choose someone to start with, and then I go around the room in a circle. And then if I have time, I go around again. Ideally, you would get to everyone in the first like 15 minutes or so. And then after that, I still like to continue my pattern, but maybe once you've gotten everyone, then you kind of start to popcorn around just based on what you see. But because that's my pattern, I usually like to start in a corner just to make it easy for my brain. You don't have to do that. Some people like to kind of zigzag like a typewriter. There's lots of different right ways to do it, and you'll find what works for you. Yeah, great question though. Yeah, that.
So I've noticed some teachers don't do adjustments at all, but some teachers do. So I guess it's like an optional thing, and then you decide.
Here for us, it's not optional. So I wonder if those teachers are
Yeah,
here.
I've done others.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, for us, I mean, unless there's a reason, which is something we've encountered very little of, it's the default. Yeah. Carly.
So you said you do, for you, like a circle to try to get to everybody. Do you have a way of remembering, or does it seem to be easy when people say, don't adjust me?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that in class when like Laura's class, there's like 35 of us, and like if two people said no, how do you remember? Or do you not touch anybody then?
Right. Great. Yeah, let's segue into that. And then if you still have questions, I'll definitely hear them. Actually, I'm going to put a pin in it for just a second.
Okay.
Because that is where I'm headed next. Great question though. Other questions about child's pose before we move on to that type of stuff?
I think I just want to clarify.
Yeah.
For my head over, sorry. So adjustments aren't because they're doing it wrong necessarily.
Correct.
It's just to enhance the pose.
Yeah.
But you want to focus on the people who are doing it incorrectly first before you.
Yeah.
You said the circle, so I was like,
Oh,
how I would
yeah.
analyze if someone else was. I mean, that's probably my own issue. I just wanted to understand the adjustments.
No, totally great clarifying question. We will definitely highlight as we go, like what the big safety concerns are. At least when I'm teaching, it's pretty rare, like that I've got to break the pattern and be like, oh, I was about to adjust this person, but I got to head over here now. And then I'll just kind of come back to where I was.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
I was just making sure I was understanding.
Totally. No, I'm really glad you did. Yeah. Also, I was in a bad car accident and then a family member died and I've got a concussion and then grief. So I'm like, also please ask questions because I don't know that I'm with it totally. So, and even if everyone else in faculty doesn't have that excuse, it's a lot to manage when we're up here talking and making sure that we're covering all the points. So please ask us your questions. That is like super helpful for us at all times. Okay, so coming back to what Carly said. So I'm gonna back up just a little bit. Let me check on our time here. All right. Am I gonna walk into the room and hit play on my music and say, child's pose, big knees together, toes touch, the knees out wide, forehead to, no. I'm gonna walk in, I'm gonna sit down, and be like, hi everyone. I'm so glad to see you. My name's Erica. Welcome to your 2:30 Vinyasa flow. Let's get started in child's pose. So if you're following along, I'm now finally in this box that says, before you begin, greet and welcome your students. This is especially important to show them some appreciation when they could be practicing with anyone in the world now that things are virtual, right? It's important to say your class name and time at a studio like Cambia where there might be multiple classes going on. Because maybe they're here for gentle yoga and you're teaching a hot power fusion at the same time. I have seen this happen. And you're like, welcome to hot power fusion. And they're like, this is not the room I want to be in. So important to say that. But you will, yeah, you'll come in, you'll introduce yourself and say, all right, let's get started in child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide, forehead to mat. Reach your arms out forward. At that point, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to go turn my music on. And now there's a couple of other things I want to say. So, and you can do these. This is the instructions in child's pose. You can do these in any order. First one says, Ujjayi breath, begin. We saw this when we talked about popcorning, that this isn't really like an exhale child's pose. It's like you get into child's pose and then you tell them, turn on your Ujjayi pranayama. You're going to have a whole section on pranayama, breath work with Kristen later. But Ujjayi is done in and out of your nose with a soft constriction in the back of your throat. I say it in and out of your nose with a soft constriction in the back of your throat, like you're fogging up a mirror. Sometimes it can be helpful to say, it sounds like Darth Vader or waves crashing on an ocean. Two very different vibes to those analogies, so I'll let you choose what works for you. Second thing you want to say is safety. Practice with safety in mind today. You can take breaks and come back here to child's pose at any time. You can grab water. You can modify your practice as much as you want. And then adjustments. I will be coming around with hands-on adjustments today. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong or it's not a critique of your practice. They're there to help support you, but if you would not like to be touched for any reason at all, please lift an arm nice and high now, and I'll be sure to stay out of your space. 99% of the time, no one ever opts out. So it makes it easy to, well, makes it easy for those 99% of the classes, except for that one, and you're like, oh no, and there's someone I'm not supposed to touch. So what I do is I like point to them and I'm just like, red mat, red mat, red mat. Don't touch the person on the red mat. Don't touch the person on the red mat. And then maybe I'll go and I'll give the first adjustment to the person right next to the red mat. So I've already skipped, you know. Like I said, it's not common. But ideally, we would say like, hey, if you want adjustments, raise a hand now, right? We like enthusiastic consent, people opting in. However, yeah, Laura's got a class of 35 people, 34 of them raise their hands. You don't know who didn't raise their hand and who doesn't want an adjustment. So we do it the opposite of raise your arm nice and high. Again, you've got a class of who knows how many people and someone goes like this, you're in trouble. So raise an arm nice and high, let me know. And in the rare case that someone does opt out, I usually like to say, awesome, I see you. Just something. And then you can also tell them if you change your mind at any time, you know, consent is ongoing. Feel free to tell them what to do. Feel free to wave me off or say no, thank you. Some teachers say it kind of jokingly, like, tell me to scram or throw a block at me. And I'm like, well, if someone actually wants you to stop adjusting them, now they feel like kind of insecure about it. So that one, I just like to be very clear of like, do one of these two things, say no thank you or wave me off and I'll get the message. That also very, very true. I don't know if that's ever happened. I've only seen it happen one time, I think. All right. This was a whole lot of information to learn child pose. Now you know why we're not getting to any other poses today. I'm going to teach, so I can have another volunteer up on the mat for me. Come on up. Awesome, thanks, Henry. Can I have like face this way just so I can give them a different, and I'll have you bring it down. No, that way I can give them a different perspective for the adjustment. So I'm gonna, and you can scoot back if the sun is in your face at all. I'm gonna do this whole thing, start to finish, and then it's gonna be your turn. I'm gonna put you in partners and you're gonna get at it, all right? All right. All right, walking, trying to block the sun
I'm
from
okay.
you.
Don't
Okay,
worry.
awesome. Well, hi, welcome to your 240 Vinyasa Flow. My name's Erica. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get started in child's pose. You can bring your knees out wide, big toes touch behind you. Walk your forehead and hands onto the mat in front of you. You can go ahead and turn on your Ujjayi Pranayama. So breathing in and out of your nose with a soft constriction in the back of your throat, like you're fogging up a mirror. I'm going to come around with hands on adjustments today. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong, but if you would prefer me to stay out of your space, can you please lift an arm nice and high right now? I'll be sure to respect your space. Awesome, thank you. Anna Marie, would you like more or less pressure? So she said more. I'm going to bend my knees a little bit deeper here. You please practice with safety in mind today. So I will be offering ideas throughout class, but if at any time you want to take a break and come back here to child's pose, you can grab water or modify these poses as much as works for you. Inhale, tabletop, and then you would move on from there. Awesome. Thank you so much. Right. That's how it goes. I don't know that that was quite the 1 to 2 minutes, but for time's sake, I wanted to, 1 to 2 minutes. I wanted to get it moving. So I did say something while I was still adjusting. That's totally an option. Right now, you can stick with just like one thing at a time as you're getting used to it. All right. How do you feel about this? Your turn. Okay. Use your notes. Use your notes. A lot of times people come back and they're like, that was really fun. Or they're like, why is talking so hard all of a sudden? What happened? So it's totally normal, whatever happens. Yes.
Can you say how to pronounce the breath again? I feel like
Yeah.
I'm battling it in my brain.
Yes. Thank you. Ujjayi. Ujjayi. You want to say that? Ujjayi. 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 Great question. Thank you. Two, 4, 6. All right, we're gonna have one group of 3. So I'll let you go ahead and get into partners as quickly as possible. One person teach through it, give feedback, and then swapsies. And group of 3, I'll let you go in a little circle. If you have extra time, you can run through it again if you want. I'll call you back here in about 8 minutes. All right, go for it.
Can you do it?
I know that was hard. I was like, too forward.
Don't know about all that.
So we'll need like one of us on the person right?
Yeah, so I would say like, yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
How are you?
Yeah. Just get your consent, make sure, yeah.
Just look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so So we're gonna begin the child's pose. So big toes together, spread your knees out behind you, wide. Forehead towards the mat. That's your gentle overview. Forehead to mat, and you are behind here, spread your fingers wide. Nose up through your nose. So like forehead, safety comes first. So if there's anything that you're comfortable with, you're safe and forward. So anytime you get this, feel free to come back here. Feel free to go back. It's here for you.
Throughout the class. I'm gonna just say throughout the class. Adjustments, hands-on adjustment. So if you like stay high, there, please go ahead you. See my friend. Stay here for a minute or two. I'm gonna come around. Now with some adjustments.
Do you see shallows and then you know with your skills?
Yeah.
Would you like to turn less pressure?
A little bit.
More smart. Also, this is a good time to start your deep breath. So you'll push in through your nose and out through your nose, like you're fogging a mirror. From the, you know, so now we will inhale at tabletop, just as in like, do your first. All right. Need it to. Okay.
Good job.
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
Any feedback, anything you have done different?
I know.
Nervous to like push you or pull? Okay.
Yeah, they thought so. Okay. Next.
Okay.
See, Trey. We all are. Yeah, yes.
Together, it was pretty useful. I see your first back.
Do that.
Prior to that, take a deep breath. Inhaling, exhaling, through your nose. Now, during class failing around, offer hands on adjustments. If you'd like to opt out, you're welcome to do so by raising one of your hands. Now, as a reminder, you come to this pose at the same time. You will either take a break or to rest. Make sure that you're honoring your body's stance during class today.
If you don't want to start, you're free to raise the hand arm.
Good.
Yeah.
Ujjayi.
Take what you are breathing now in through your nose. So if I'm being out through your nose with an ocean, a little bit of constriction.
Keep breathing.
That's all right. No. That was very good though. No. Yeah. That's why I'm. Yeah.
It's like a bed, but it goes to a script.
Right, when we're breathing here and
It's easy. Good job.
it feels like, I don't know why, it feels like vulnerable to me.
Yeah. I know you. You're gonna be here next week. I felt like I needed to keep talking, and then I felt like, so I was talking, but I did, yeah, so I noticed like, okay, she's silent right now, and I'm not like that. I'm like, what do you do? So good to know, because I was like, because I feel you did good, you said like keep breathing, and then you were after that, and I forgot to breathe, so I like, I was like, okay, you can talk, you have to stop for a moment.
No, I didn't. You went soft. Okay, you went a little deeper.
No, it's fine for me. Give me a decent amount of pressure. It's good for me. Because my body's always like up, so I appreciate that. But I want to.
Class, my name's Hannah. Here's child class.
The one like start with like stuff and do different.
The big team together.
My dreams would be like, okay, so it's a space and there's a yoga studio. And then there's also like a this collaborative and then there's like so like people can go to yoga and then kids can take a yoga class at the same time. And then opportunity to eat out or like something to eat after. So that's my interesting little like space. I know, I like recently made a little logo.
So weird.
iPad for my birthday. So it's on there. Yes, no, you can great. Like that, but they go so and like I was just like I feel like bring them up, feel good being there and they can chill like just like good vibes. Yeah, that's where I'm going. Like, but also like it's journey. Yeah. All like the health and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I changed it a little bit because I put established, but then I changed it to.
Supposed to be table talk. And I feel like I forgot something about that.
Yeah, I did,
Oh, right. She might help though. Tingling in everyone's ears.
Like she's like,
Let's circle back up.
yeah, you guys do.
Okay, well, look at you, yoga teachers, way to go. Yay, how did that go for you? Okay, no one cried. Honestly, if you had, we would have been two peas in a pod, so nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Yeah, it's like we all like all of a sudden you're just like, please face hold now with words, please do the thing, read my mind. Yeah, it can be a lot of pressure. I also swear it's just, I mean, obviously we have to start teaching you the top of the class and then we progress from there, right? Like it wouldn't make sense for us to be like, all right, we're gonna start, here's what you would teach when you're 30 minutes in. But honestly, I think that teaching the stuff at the beginning of class is hardest, and then that's extra hard for you because you're also learning how to learn this information. I think integration and Sane are pretty tricky to learn, and that's what you're going to be doing this weekend. And it's just tricky because there's a lot to it, and you're just getting the hang of it. And then after that, though, it's going to start to be like, okay. It may not click for you at the same time that it clicks for other people. When I went through intensive, it was only a 10-week program. And it was week 8 before it clicked for me. And I was like, I get what we're doing here. I don't know. It's right. It's just the neural pathways, you're like, oh, teaching yoga, got it. So I just want to say that like if people around you, it seems like it's coming easier to them than it is for you, that's totally okay. And it doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. Keep at it. Even if it feels like when you're practice teaching, it's not making much of a difference. It's like, okay, if you're like accruing all of this like time and hours by practice teaching, but it doesn't click until here, all of this is still going to serve you from then on, if that makes sense. So keep with it. So what is your homework for Saturday? Popcorning, integration, and Sunday, yes. And also keep practicing what you just did in child's pose. By the end of training, you're gonna get really good at child's pose because you're gonna have done it every single time. So every time that we're like, all right, next weekend, come in with Sun B popcorned. And then also practice teaching everything, the breath pose cue, all the cues, the adjustments, all the things like that, like a real class that you learned that day, so that then by the end of those 7 weeks, you can actually teach the whole thing. Best way to do this is in small bites. I remember when I was in training, you know, Saturdays are big posture kind of days, so Friday afternoon was like my day to practice and get prepared. So guess what? The whole week I would just get more and more anxious about it. And that's just not fun for anyone. And also, I only had like 12 hours before Saturday morning when it was like, okay, I gotta be kind of ready for the next thing. So little bite-sized chunks tend to work a lot better for people. It helps your memory more, and you don't get this big mountain of anxiety building up to Friday. So I would say, like, when can you work it into your day? When your coffee's brewing, can you do 5 minutes? Maybe on your way to work, listen to the audio recording. Things like that you can integrate and have it be like, hey, yeah, I did doesn't even have to be much, 10 minutes a day. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you can give yourself 10 minutes a day, that will be the biggest gift that you can do for yourself throughout teacher training. Some days for sure, you're gonna need to be like, all right, I need to do the whole hour today or something like that. But for now, those small little bite-sized chunks are gonna be such a game changer. You all did a really great job of being like, did I forget something? How was that? What did it, you know, and like giving each other honest feedback. We're certainly here if you're like, Erica, like, tell me if I'm doing this adjustment wrong or something like that. But by and large, we're relying on you all to be like, not be like, that's fine, even if like the adjustment makes me want to cry inside. So be honest with each other about how things are going when you're practice teaching. Okay. I'm just super excited for you all. I'm really impressed. I know it takes a lot to show up here on the first day and start doing things, which is why we ripped the Band-Aid off on day 1. Now you've done it, you've taught yoga. Nothing else is new from now on. You've already done the thing. Let's see, we end each day with something called the word. So the word can be any word. We'll each go around. Person A will say one word. It could be something that maybe stuck out for you today. So maybe it's ujjayi, or maybe it's faithful. Or it could just be like pizza or whatever. All right, who would like to be our person A and kick us off? Awesome, Carly, thank you. Connection, awesome. Which way do you want to send it?
Gratitude. I don't know how to say the word. As I said, okay. Yeah.
I have two, so like I'm comfortable with this, but also with growth.
Love that. Awesome. Let's just ask.
Sangha. Joy.
Stoked.
Community.
Surprise. Mine's patience. Chill a bit.
Mine is excitement. Thank you all so much. Oh, okay, it's time. It's 3 o'clock. So get on out here. Come let me know if you have any questions, anything I can do for you. Have fun. Thank you.
Everything, yeah, I did not know what. Yeah. We are.
All of us are gonna turn up the gas down from there.
Yeah. I'll share with you because my information you led and you said the same thing. Plan to teach classes, right? And I said to tell you, it's like, obviously you're insane because it cracks me up because your name is on every poster that I read. It's like with Erica, and like my mom, she was not a teacher, and like your mom or two. I don't know, my but your way. So thank you so much. Help speak of the class.
I love it. I'm sorry. I don't like that. I literally the journal and it was like, I'm not gonna have a couple classes and I'm gonna keep my head down and not make any friends. It's serious and I was like,
Yeah, so. The thing you were open to, you know, what happened. Go for it. Yeah.